Hello and welcome to the Geeks Review. I'm Royce.
And I'm Joshua.
On today's show, we're going to be talking about two animated series streaming on Disney+, Marvel's What If and Star Wars Visions. Now, What If we spoke about a few weeks ago, the premiere.
What if Peggy Carter became Captain America instead?
Yes, this is a series set within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the Avengers series, and it presents what-if scenarios, like what if something happened that had greater repercussions upon the story.
Absolutely. Something so insignificant sometimes that it can have drastic changes or something major.
So yeah, I mean, the very first episode that we talked about was Agent Carter, played by Hayley Atwell, reprising her voice role here.
Yes.
She's the one who get the super soldier serum in place of Steve Rogers, preventing him from ever becoming Captain America and allowing her to become Captain Carter.
Yes.
We talked about that, and that was basically just a quick retelling of the original Captain America movie with a few little changes. But since then, I mean, the series is still going. There's still 2 episodes left to go.
Yes.
They're airing every Wednesday night here in Australia on Disney+.
5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yep. There's been a few more episodes in development. There's been
a lot more since then, yeah.
Yeah, so basically take it away. Talk about any episodes that stood out to you.
Well, I guess really the ones that have stood out the most to me have been the ones that have really gone against the grain and have had better performances. Don't get me wrong, a lot of these guys are doing well, but not every actor that they've gotten back translates well to a voice acting role.
Yeah, you really need to have like a personality and sort of that energy to really convey a voice role. I think Chadwick Boseman, who passed away sadly last year,
yes,
this is actually his final role ever. He was known as Black Panther, and he's here reprising that role in various episodes. And
he did 4 episodes before he passed.
Yeah, he's really got that energy to him, that sort of style, that energy that you need for voice performance. Whereas some, like Sebastian Stan, fall a bit by the wayside, where it's a bit unremarkable.
Yeah.
You do have a few actors filling in, notably Lake Bell. She's an accomplished actress. You know, she's a really talented voice performer. She fills in here for Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, and it's a really strong ScarJo, impersonation. It's kind of got that energy, but it's got that what's needed for a voice performance.
Absolutely.
And same deal for whoever did the voice for Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I even thought it was Tom Holland going into it. Yeah. And then Paul Rudd,
Yes.
Michael Douglas was kind of like, oh yeah, that's Michael Douglas. Oh, it actually is. It's not just an impression of him.
It is Michael Douglas.
Yeah. But basically, huge voice cast in this. I mean,
oh, absolutely. The money to throw behind it. It's a pity it looks semi-unremarkable.
It has its moments, I think, in the action scenes, particularly. The last episode had a really cool fight scene between 2 heroes, which was just like, if only we got to see this in live action.
Right.
But I think in animation, they were able to push it beyond the limits and kind of stretch it a lot more.
Without having to spend billions and billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Instead only thousands.
The likenesses are a bit hit and miss.
Yes.
As well.
They're definitely choice likenesses, and they do try and comicify some of these guys as well. I think, sadly, the weakest point in the series has been episodes 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Due to the narrative that we got. Now, don't get me wrong, I loved the narrative of episode 3, murder mystery, something kills the MCU off before it can even MCU.
Yeah, prevents the Avengers from ever forming, way back from around the time of Iron Man 2. Like, what if everyone got wiped out?
Pretty much. The murder mystery was great, but it just felt a little flat.
Yeah, I think the real drawback with these episodes is the runtime. Like, they're barely 25 to 30 minutes long, so by the time you kind of get going, it just abruptly ends, and usually they try to end on a bit of a cliffhanger. Whether or not these stories are going to be picked up in future remains to be seen, but
pretty much.
I think sort of they misjudged where to put the weight.
I think the weakest story, though, is honestly one of the best performances given from Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa, and that is what if T'Challa became the Star-Lord?
Yes. So what if Black Panther became Star-Lord, character played by Chris Pratt originally in... not to say like he plays the role that Chris Pratt played, but his character is put into that situation.
Pretty much. Instead of becoming the daring scoundrel that Peter Quill is, he becomes this Robin Hood.
Yeah, a really honourable, decent guy.
Yes.
And, I mean, I was going to do a big dramatic lead-up, like, what will happen? Will his diplomatic, skills come into good use or doom them more? But
Yeah, it's those diplomatic skills that really put me at a bit of an unease. How it radically changes everything just because he decided, I'm going to be like Robin Hood instead.
So, yeah, that was actually an episode that I really liked and sort of sold me on this series. So you weren't so keen on it.
I wasn't keen on the narrative. I was very keen on the actual performances. It just eliminates so much that could have been potentially good stories. Now, don't get me wrong, some of the stuff on it was quite remarkable, having the Collector being a crime lord and the Ravengers, all dedicating themselves to this Robin Hood idea, but the fact that it takes T'Challa to undo nearly everything.
Yeah.
It just go, why? He was able to somehow talk down Thanos when better people have tried.
It's we're a few episodes in, so we'll sort of talk loosely spoilers. Obviously, you can still go in and enjoy it. But, I mean, that episode as well, really strong for guest cast. I mean, Josh Brolin returns as Thanos, Michael Rooker as Yondu.
Karen Gillan as Nebula.
She's obviously Scottish, and she plays Nebula with, like, kind of an American accent. Kind of undistinguishable. Like, I could not tell it was her until I saw the credits.
Yeah.
So, if Nebula had been Scottish, probably would have been able to tell immediately. It's a shame they didn't give her red hair, but, they had the opportunity.
They did.
Yeah, but I think that was one that kind of showed the potential, but because of the short runtime, you don't really get a chance to fully explore how things came to be. And that's kind of the case for a lot of episodes of What If, where things are just there and
I think the strongest episode came in with number 4. What if Stephen Strange lost his heart instead of his hands?
Yes. Yeah, that was a weird one, because that also kind of left me thinking, wait, were they together? These two characters?
Hinted at that they had been together in the past.
Yeah, but
that they were romantically involved but not committed.
But by this time, they had split up in the film. This is Dr. Stephen Strange, played by Benedict Cumberbatch, and Christine, I can't remember her last name, played by Rachel McAdams. This is a time travel story, and it's been pointed out she seems to have a thing for time travel stories.
Yeah.
The Time Traveler's Wife and the one with Domhnall Gleeson, which I can't remember the name of. I think it's called About Time, but basically she's been in a lot of stories where her romantic partner travels through time and tries to change how the future unfolds.
Yes.
Yeah, so in the film, they were obviously an item in the past but weren't together, but in this What If episode...
It seems to be a lot earlier.
Or he didn't do something to annoy her and cause them to split, So, going with the episode title of How Stephen Strange or How Doctor Strange Lost His Heart, it seems as though he was... But that's the thing, it's like, it just sort of like, oh, they're together. We just want to tell his story, just forget about
it. Really does an excellent way of telling, what a man that powerful, with the mystic arts can sort of... what path he can go down when obsession and power meet together.
Yeah, and we kind of get 2 diverging timelines in that, where you kind of see what happens if he just went on with his life and what happened if he became all consumed in this goal.
So powerful, in fact, that he was able to see the Watcher, a celestial being, no less.
Yeah, that was a really haunting moment at the end when the Watcher talks directly to him.
Yes.
Just played by Jeffrey Wright of the Daniel Craig Bond films. He played Felix Leiter, and also he's Bernard Westworld. And going to be a future Jim Gordon, and he's even playing Batman in some audio play.
Yes.
Beat us to it.
Damn it.
Visually, that episode was just really spectacular.
Off walls, beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, just a menagerie of like creatures that he faces off against, and just the magic.
Dark and haunting, and even the form he takes at the end. Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a happy ending.
No.
But, I mean, that's hubris for you. He kind of becomes blinded.
It's definitely one of the many episodes that doesn't have a happy ending. Well, one of the few episodes, I should say.
I think it's kind of fun that they're allowed to play around with that, but It's also like the series doesn't take itself seriously enough.
No.
Because, I mean, the last episode, the most recent episode, is Party Thor. What if Thor
was an only child? What if Odin decided to leave Loki on Jotunheim or returned him back to Lafwy?
Yeah, which is, again, kind of like, oh, but it didn't seem to go that way in the movie, but it's just like, whatever, roll with it.
Yeah.
You know? Chris Hemsworth returns as Thor, and it's kind of strange hearing his voice. He does a solid performance, but it's kind of like, is that Chris Hemsworth?
It doesn't feel like him, but you know it's him.
Yeah. Whereas Tom Hiddleston, who's popped up a few times through these episodes, comes in with just such a commanding presence and just wipes the floor.
He seems to be rather better at it than Chris. No offense, but...
Yeah. I think Chris is sort of stuck as being Thor. If he could do something else, he could kind of be a bit more bombastic with it. And
yes.
Loki's already bombastic.
Enough, yeah. I mean, a brief Jeff Goldblum as well. As the Grandmaster.
Yeah, well, the two characters are related. Rachel House returns, but didn't hear her amazing voice.
No.
Taika Waititi's briefly in this episode.
Yep.
A return of Karen Gillan as Nebula. And a return of Natalie Portman.
Oddly enough.
I reckon because she's going to be coming back in a future film.
Yeah.
They kind of said, oh, can you pop into the booth and do this thing for us? Kobe Smulders even returns. You know, she was...
Darcy.
Oh, no, that's Kat Dennings.
Sorry, yeah.
Kat Dennings is, again, strong vocal performance, but it kind of feels like she leans into parody, I guess, when she's trying to accentuate her vocal qualities. And same for getting into really technical stuff here.
Yeah,
but Kobe Smulders, from How I Met Your Mother, she plays the role of Maria Hill from the Avengers movies. And she's here and she just sort of feels like she's really hamming it up. Yes, I'm playing this character, I'm really accentuating it. Again, I could sort of go on about the vocal performances, but, you know.
I think I'm glad we're getting a week-by-week release of this.
Yes.
And I'm also really glad that while we're only getting 9 episodes, they waited until the 5th episode to do What If Zombies.
Yes.
This has been What If's major selling point, if I'm going to be completely honest.
And did it sell it? Did it
live
up to the hype?
It definitely was interesting to see Marvel Zombies done in the context of the MCU, and how they did it was even better.
Yeah.
Instead of just having, zombies.
Yeah, trying to work within the confines of what the series has been so far.
Though I was sitting there picking apart the how the zombies work, trying to figure out how the virus worked.
Yeah,
because it seems to be different all around, because when normal people get bitten, but when the heroes get bitten, they're actually able to use a bit more of their intelligence, which throws me off a bit.
Yeah, it was just like, let's see Captain America be a zombie and actually be Captain America. Let's see Iron Man be a zombie and actually use the Iron Man armor, not just shamble around, you know. Which is kind of what you want. You don't just want an empty shell with a...
I know it's what we're looking for, but it sort of confuses me a little bit, that there's no clearly defined rules of what the infection is, other than it came from this place,
Yeah. It's an episode that definitely feels like it could have done with more runtime to kind of explain things and kind of even have a moment of speculation to have characters throw around ideas why the zombies are the way they are.
Rather than just turn it into a zombie film,
Yeah, because they do get transformed. Like, I mean, one character gets bitten, we see, and they become a zombie basically immediately.
Another one, it takes even longer.
Yeah. That was a really cool moment, that ending.
Yeah.
We're kind of thinking you're playing around with these characters with the that power.
Yeah.
And to actually see that zombified was... But again, not much time with it.
No.
Paul Rudd really sort of pushes his likability, I think, in the wisecracking. He kind of tests limits.
Really needed to quit while he was ahead.
Perfect. But yes, what else stood out to you in this series?
I guess the idea behind episode 6... What if Killmonger saved Tony Stark?
Yes.
That was definitely an interesting one. It definitely was the most Stark one out there. I do miss Robert Downey Jr.'s performance.
Yeah, the guy they got playing him is quite good, but he's kind of feels like... He actually voices Stark in some of the animated stuff.
Yeah, it just still doesn't feel the same.
I know veteran voice actor Nolan North played him in the Avengers game, and that kind of felt a bit more restrained. Robert Downey Jr., but not quite a rip-off.
No.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, that's an interesting one. What if things changed right at the beginning? Like, instead of Tony Stark, being caught in the blast of his own weapons and leading to him becoming Iron Man, what if he got rescued by the character of Killmonger?
Pretty much.
Played by Michael B. Jordan, reprising his role here from the Black Panther film. This probably one of the strongest villains of the MCU.
Yes.
A character whose ideology is so well explained and sort of understandable that you're almost rooting for him until you kind of realise, wait.
That's the bad guy.
Yeah.
Though I was very happy to also see Andy Serkis returning, and he's just balls to the wall out there, living it up as Claw.
Of course, you get Serkis and he's gonna deliver.
I really hope he didn't say, "Hey, put me back in the suit, guys. Put me back in the suit."
Yeah. Yeah, of course he's known for his motion capture work, as is Benedict Cumberbatch, and you're kind of thinking, some of the animation in this is so fluid and so well done. Is it mocapped or is it all keyframe animation?
No idea.
But it looks good either way, and it's bright and colourful.
It is. It definitely stands out, but the animation is definitely still...
I think wrapping up
yeah.
for this series, I would say if you are a fan of the MCU, don't go in with, this is super serious, just... relax. Have fun. Yeah.
Lay back, have a refilling brewski.
Yeah. I think because we sort of go in with this expectation it's going to be very serious and very, what if this seriously happened? It sort of...
Yeah.
Leaves a little, But anyway, that's What If. 6 episodes or 7 episodes are currently out now.
7 episodes currently, with 2 more on the way.
Yeah, and a series 2 is in the works.
Let's hope they learn their lessons. Well, learn from this and expand and improve.
Yeah. Hope so.
Yes.
But anyway, Star Wars. Star Wars, it has its... sorry, I was going to do a bit.
Yeah, do your bit.
Yeah, well, back to our obligatory Star Wars talk, but actually it was something new to talk about.
Absolutely.
It has its influences in everything from TV serials like Flash Gordon and... the works of Akira Kurosawa, but very rarely have we actually seen a Japanese influence.
LucasArts has travelled to the land of the rising sun, has picked several different studios, and have given us 9...
short films, in a way.
Short films with the short runtime of 13 minutes, with the longest one being 24 minutes.
Yeah, so, these are basically Star Wars anime.
They are.
Officially produced.
Beautiful in every sense of the word. Even if they're not to your tastes. I know there were a few episodes that didn't quite resonate with me, but they were still beautiful to look at. Really eye-candy catching.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm not an anime fan, so going into this, I was kind of like, is this going to be any good? Is it... Because you see people talking online, this is one of the best Star Wars things ever. But the fact it won me over, and even the weaker episodes, I'm still like, no, that was really good.
Yes.
I think is an achievement. I think by having the English voice cast, and there's also the Japanese voice cast, I think you can change that. Change which audio you listen to.
Next time.
Yeah, to watch this with the Japanese voice acting and with English subs would be really cool. But I think that sort of made it a lot more accessible.
Absolutely.
And by having some guest stars like Lucy Liu, David Harbour, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's in one episode.
Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah, Alison Brie as well. I could tell that was Alison Brie.
James Hong.
Yes, Big Trouble in Little China.
Blade Runner.
Oh, yes. Yeah, great voice there. But yeah, this is basically a series of standalone short films set within the Star Wars universe. Some are sort of...
Some quite don't have a place.
Yeah, they're kind of what-ifs themselves.
Yes, but they are stunning.
Yeah.
It opens with episode 1, The Jewel. Directed by, and I'm going to butcher this, so I apologize, Takanobu Mizono, and produced by the Kamikaze Dorga studio.
Yeah, that was a striking episode, that one.
It was very Beast Stars 3D cel-shaded style, done purely in black and white, save for some choice colors.
Yeah, every time there's a lightsaber on screen.
Or lights.
Lights, you know.
Blaster bolts.
It's really visually stunning and reminded me a lot of, I guess, the Star Wars manga we got in like the 1990s. It's really quite visually arresting, and from the right off the bat, it kind of throws you into that thing. I mean, you got a droid wearing like a conical hat.
Yeah.
It's yeah, we won't have time to fully go into. Oh, we haven't got it.
A little small thing. The main character, Ronan the Wanderer, he's actually getting a novel.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Star Wars Visions, Ronan.
Yes, I have heard that there's going to be quite a lot of sort of Star Wars adjacent, you know, material coming out from Japan, like manga and anime and stuff, which I don't know how available it's going to be here in Australia, but...
Well, give it time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a really strong one. The second one going
Twins,
into...
wasn't it? No, that was Tatooine Recipe.
Yeah, this was one which was a lot more cutesy, the art style.
Yeah, definitely anime as hell.
But it still won me over. Of course, we got the return of Tamwa Morrison as Boba Fett.
Yes.
Great to hear him, and yeah...
I just can't get over Smooth Jabba.
Oh, Smooth Jabba.
It's so freaky to look at.
And his Major Domo, Fortuna, his face is just...
Oh.
He's seen some things. Yeah, this is... So, obviously, different studios. Even when you got a returning studio like the Studio Trigger,
yes.
we did episode 3 and episode 7, totally different animation styles.
Oh, absolutely. Trigger is a company that, if I remember, episode 3, that was the twins.
Yes.
Yes. No, I'm thinking of a different studio. Never mind.
Yeah, but those two episodes are so visually distinct, though so thematically distinct.
Yes.
And that's the thing, actually. It plays a lot with themes which aren't really explored much in the main Star Wars films, like you might get them in Rebels or Clone Wars a little. But here it's like... There's actually one episode where it reveals that the lightsaber wielder's lean in the Force determines what colour the lightsaber blade is.
Which has been something long-standing in the new canon.
Yeah, well, I mean...
To some degree.
I've been told that apparently back in Return of the Jedi, Vader was meant to get his hand on Luke's lightsaber and sort of turn it on and wave it around, and it would be a red blade when he held it and green when Luke held it, to kind of show their different, you know, leaning. So you kind of get an episode that plays around with that, and I mean, I'm not a Japanese expert, I'm not an anime expert, but it'd kind of be interesting to see if their cultural values kind of played into what they wanted to play with.
But a lot of them did, particularly with the Duel, the episode 7, the Elder.
Yeah, I mean, you get those influences like with the katana-shaped lightsaber blades, which is really cool to see.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
The only other lightsaber we've seen like that in canon has been the Darksaber, and to see these with, you know, different colours has been...
There's a lot of prequel trilogy stuff as well.
There's one episode in the prequels. No, 2, sorry, yes, you're right.
And
episode 8 and episode 7.
Yeah.
The rest sort of take place after Rise of Skywalker or in certain places.
Yeah, they do borrow a lot of sequel trilogy imagery, like freezing blaster bolts and like the hyperspace taking out a ship. You know? All like sort of the visually arresting things from that series are like really here, but I was surprised to see a whole legion of battle droids and just a lot of post Order 66 stuff. I mean, even though it's sort of... I think the Star Wars universe is vast enough that you can kind of, you know, slot these in the canon somewhere and just say, you know, this character exists. They don't need to meet Luke Skywalker.
It doesn't make the universe feel small, save for one moment in the Twins where the brother ends up on Tatooine by the end.
Yeah, I think the Twins is one that's kind of a bit more out there in regards to, like, this is really an AU as opposed to...
Yes.
That's just... You can imagine everything crazy about anime, like, you know, extreme powers and fighting. That's that episode.
Absolutely. Reminded me a lot of the old anime Gurren Lagann by Studio Gainax.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. I haven't watched much of it. It's not a very good one, but the art style reminded me a lot of it.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, kind of wrapping up our thoughts on this episode. It's visually arresting.
It is.
Even if you're not an anime fan, you can sort of jump into it and give it a shot. Each episode, each short film is kind of short enough that if you're not happy with it, you can sort of just sit through it. Or,
Next type of thing.
Yeah. Have you seen all the episodes? I'm still got a few more to go.
I did. Because I binged it all last night with my family.
Yeah, just drop that. What did they think of it?
So my brother and sister and myself, we are anime connoisseurs. So I'm a little bit more of a older generation, you know. I remember waking up, watching Cheese TV, 7 o'clock would be Sailor Moon, 7:30 Pokemon, 8 o'clock Dragon Ball, and then off to school. And they know a lot more of the newer stuff, and they enjoyed it, though they do share some similar opinions with me, with some of the episodes not being truly the greatest. But when my parents, well, my folks walked in, they watched it with the same sort of almost enthusiasm, sort of looking and going, this is actually pretty damn cool.
One thing that impressed me as well is that I think in episode 2, it sort of builds that character connection.
Yes.
In 15 minutes, strong enough that you kind of go, I understand what's going on here. It doesn't just feel tacked on, and I actually feel like there's real emotions here.
You feel a connection to these characters, even if there's little to no dialogue. And a good example of the Jewel or the Elder.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of recurring themes as well across the episodes, and I don't know how much they sort of talk to each other, the studios, or how much they were dictated to by Lucasfilm. But, you know, this was really cool to see, and...
Every episode at least has one lightsaber.
Yes. Oh, I gotta have the lightsaber in there.
Yeah. It's iconic, but the designs that these guys have come up with is just fantastic. My favorite has to have been the one used by the former Jedi Padawan in episode 5, episode 4, sorry, The Village Bride.
Oh, yeah.
The flat-bladed yellow.
Oh, that was lovely, that one. But yes, both these shows, Star Wars Visions and Marvel's What If, are available to watch on Disney+. Check them out now. All 9 episodes are up of
Visions and What If is releasing weekly on Wednesdays for Australia at 5:30 and 5 p.m.
Anyway, that's been the Geeks Review. I'm Royce.
And I'm Joshua.
And we'll see you next time. Bye for now.